Hey, how's it going, everybody? Before I get started here on the turntable that I got, being that this thing is rare, it took a bit of looking, but I was able to find a site where you can download the not user manual, but service manual slash repair manual for free, giving breakdowns of this so you know all the parts if you're going to work on it. And then didn't work out too good to print out because it shrinks it down a little too much, but it does give schematics for the circuit boards for anybody that knows how to read them and needs to replace those kinds of parts. Otherwise, if it's just replacing like what I need to replace, the pictures are plenty good. So, anyways, that site's got a long list, so I'm just gonna give you the link to that, and then you got to scroll down a bit to get to this particular manual. Otherwise, they got all kinds of others, and so far, man, all free to download, and they're all in a Adobe PDF format. Which on manuals, I get a lot of stuff that I got to work on occasionally, or just want the manuals. Like all my vintage game systems, a lot of them I've been able to find service manuals, and if I looked around hard enough, I could find them for free. As if you want to look yourself, you are going to find a lot of sites that want to charge you money. Just keep looking. Eventually, you will find one for free. Now, on just the regular user manual that came with this thing, all I could find was people selling them, and they won't even let you look at them. So, don't know if it was legit or they're just being stingy or whatever on not giving you a sample of it. Otherwise, I'd rather have the service manuals. So, I'm going to show that last. Is This turntable is a bit heavy and awkward to show, and on plugging it in or anything, being the problem it has, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show it to you guys so you can see what it looks like. And if you want to see one in action, there's a couple or so videos I found of somebody just playing a record on one of these things here on YouTube. So easy enough to see a demo of it. Otherwise, it's cool as hell, man. I hope I can get it working good. It does play, but it's a thing that you put the thing on that goes in the thing to make it play is having problems. But after I looked it up at freaking Goodwill, I don't care. It's worth some money. And working, damn. Just damn. Scored big. So, first off, here, I've been collecting all kinds of these vintage handheld games. I like any of them. Anyways, they had this one at my Goodwill last time I stopped there for $5, and it's in really good shape. Let's see. This one is from 1979. Anyways, this is a Mattel Electronics Brain Baffler game. And I was able to find a free download for the user manual on this, as you got to have the manual to play it. Because it's like scrambled words and this, that, and the other, and then you got to know all the key presses on it to play what game. It's like a big frickin' calculator otherwise. Pretty cool for $5. Alright, now for something not retro, which nice that she gave them to me at the old store price, but it kind of sucks that they're going to pull the eBay thing and start looking this stuff up to where the prices can be from cheap to hell no. Otherwise, I got both of these for $10, one of my local pawn shops, and hopefully the whole increase on the prices, which that's what you're going to be doing on them. I hope that doesn't go over and they just go back to a flat rate. Every other pawn shop I know of, it's a flat rate for video games. Otherwise, this one, I just played for a little bit, and I kept getting my ass kicked because I'm not used to these kind of games. I like first-person shooters, but this is one where you got to build stuff, as in build weapons, build your bedding, build any cats, build any dogs to protect your shit, and you got to build your fucking house or build onto a house or whatever the hell, and it's online or offline, and I don't like online, so I'm playing offline and I'm getting my fucking ass kicked. Otherwise, for $10, not bad, but I sure as hell wouldn't pay more than that because graphically, this feels like an older game. Otherwise, not too bad so far. 7 Days to Die. PS4. So for $10, worth it. Any more than that, nah. This, it looks great on the PS4, man. I'm glad I picked it up. And I've just started playing it. I've already beaten the game once on PS3, so can't wait to get through the entire game on PS4. It's got The Last of Us remastered. And this has some extra stuff on it. Explore the brutal post-epidemic world fully realized with the power of the PlayStation 4 system. Includes additional game content. Choked up today, guys. Delve into Ellie's past in Left Behind, a single-player prequel chapter, 8 new multiplayer maps, and the abandoned and reclaimed territory packs. In-game cinematic commentary from the cast and creative director. So a little bit extra stuff. And now for something completely different. Something that shaves off man fur. And something that's really freaking awesome. If only I could have grabbed a few more of them, because this little sucker's worth a bit. Especially now that I got it working. But I'm going to keep it as it's working, and it does a really good job compared to some of my new made ones. Anyways, took a bit of looking up on this. I could find plenty of pictures of it and stuff. It was trying to find somebody with an exact date. And it looks like this was made in around 1935. And say, man, I got it working again. I had to replace the cord, and it was a lot easier than I thought. This was made to replace parts on easily. Not like nowadays where you just toss it into the garbage and buy a completely restored new part at Walmart or whatever. No, this is meant to be worked on. And it is built like a friggin' tank. Anyways, what I found here, say around a 1935 Wall Silent Giant electric clippers. And have the original box here. I'll show you guys first. And they literally have a price on the box, not a sticker, but just on the box, just a flat rate price, and then a spot where I guess you could put a price tag if you're going to put it on sale. Otherwise, it originally went for $21.50. This is barber shop quality, so professional quality. And then made by Wall Clipper Co., Sterling, Illinois. So here's the old box. It's in pretty damn good shape. There's just that side there's split, but not too frayed up. That could have happened at Goodwill, as I got this at Goodwill. Otherwise, not bad at all. And I trashed what was left of the original cord, and I don't think it was original. Now that I think of it, the one that I found where they had an exact date or whatever, it had one of the old school cords before they started rubberizing the outside of it to protect the wires, where it had the cloth wrapping. And it was all sticking out of it and chopped off and whatnot. Anyways, that's probably what was originally on this, and then it got replaced a long damn time ago because it had a regular looking cord, but man, it was dry rotted as hell to where if I bent it, stuff was just falling off of it. So anyways, before I show you here, speaking of cords, being that I like to work on stuff, when I can't find parts for my good soldering irons, I just break down sometimes and just get one of the cheapies over at Walmart. That's about like $7-8. Just the cheap soldering iron that you just plug in and it works. Anyways, I had a couple of those that were pretty messed up. So instead of just replacing parts on them, I chopped the cord off one and it fit this beautifully once I brazed the wires with solder and made some little loops. Which, I don't have a screwdriver in front of me to take it apart, so I'll just tell you what I did and point in the area. Like I say, once you take the cover off, it's easy. Nice. Thing that would have been cooler is to have some of the parts with it, let alone the manual, but to have the box is cool. And no foam or anything in this box. What they did to make it fit sideways is just layer up cardboard and then the center of it is cut out in the shape of the razor. But I will plug this in to show you guys how it sounds. Amazingly quiet. And the shavers that I got for hair or whatever, just plain old hair clippers. I keep calling it a shaver, hair clipper, whatever. Anyways, ones I got are probably 60s, 70s at the oldest. They're loud as hell compared to this, and I'm thinking it's because it's all metal. Otherwise, haven't started cleaning it up too much. It's pretty much I just wanted to get it working. So on the cover here, because I don't know how it's going to show up on my cam, it just says Silent Giant Model A Wall Clipper Corp. Sterling, Illinois, USA. See patent numbers inside lid, which I think I counted almost 20 patent numbers. But there's no way I can show you because they're really lightly stamped, more so than this stuff. 12 watts, 110 volt, AC, 60 cycle, and then show you on the side here. And I'm getting a lot of reflection. It's hard to show when I got a lamp over here just to brighten things up. Otherwise, it'll look pretty good once I get this all cleaned up good. Otherwise, this is to adjust the power, where you just turn it, and then there's a screw right there that is for the blade tension, which that I didn't have to mess with. All I had to do was mess with this just a little bit. Slides the blade back and forth on this large boot. And then old school on-off switch. That's where you hook up the cord if you're going to replace it. And then this I got to do something with and make it look a little bit better. I think the original cord had maybe like a spring type thing stuck in there. That's usually what they'd have, is some kind of a spring thing going out, I don't know, about 1.5 inches at most, just to keep the cord stable, because it would be a round cord wrapped in cloth. Otherwise, fits pretty good. What I did was just stick a washer, just an O-ring type washer around the inside of this so it doesn't move as much. Otherwise, fairly long cord that I was able to get off of the soldering iron. Now on hooking it up, screw there, a screw there, and a screw up here, and then this whole top piece comes off to where you can clean out hair or anything, which I should have kept that shit because it could have been from the 1930s hair, and I'm sure somebody on eBay would buy that, like vintage beard hair, man wool, whatever. Anyways, the switch here has 3 screws. The 2 towards the top are for, let's say, the vibrator, whatever. I forget what the hell they call it. It's basically like a vibrator. You got the thing here that puts out the power, and then there's a bar alongside of it, and the closer, further apart, the more it's going to vibrate, hence make the blade work. Anyways, if that's tore up, then try and find somebody that's got the cover off to show you. Otherwise, the 2 wires coming off that are the first 2 terminals. The last one is for whatever wire you hook up on the cord here. And then the next one up, you put the other cord wire on along with the one coming off of that thing. And the original wires, kind of like a rivet style washer where the pieces were pancaked together, where they loop the wire inside and then just pancake it together, and I don't know if they use like a crimp or something. Anyways, I obviously wasn't going to be finding any of those, and I didn't have anything like that around to solder the cord wires to, so all I did was just put some solder on them after I twisted them up and cut them just short enough to where I can just make a little loop. Like I say, man, the cord fit perfect because it's kind of a square area around those screws, and it fits in there just perfect when I tighten it down. Is you don't want anything sticking up to touch this or anything else, so everything's nice and protected now. Anyways, I will plug this in and hopefully it will sound okay through my microphone here. If you're not hearing it, yes, it is turned on. Like I say, man, this thing is amazingly quiet. And I already attacked myself with it. So, see if I can. Oh, shit. I don't even have my fucking cat here to give a demonstration. Gotta have some arm hair somewhere. Oh, here. I'll turn it up a little bit until it gets a little noisy. There. Now you can hear it. When it starts to whine at like that, you really don't want that. Okay, that's about the limit. I think anywhere past that, it's going to start really sounding bad, as it's too much. Man, it cuts good for something from the 30s. Just nice and quiet. Like I said, my other ones are friggin' loud. So, nice. You guys can fix stuff, man, and you see stuff like this, definitely worth picking up. Any of these old ones seem to be really sought after, and I could see why. They're just built really good. So anyways, my Goodwill had a few of these, like somebody just brought them in, they didn't want them, like maybe inherited them and didn't want them, or a barber passed away in town and they got brought in or whatever. But I spotted about at least 5 boxes, but everybody was grabbing at them, so I think I got the oldest ones. Out of all the boxes, this looked the oldest. But the other ones still fairly old, so people were leaving with smiles because they knew they were getting good things. I only paid $8, and I think some of them were cheaper than that. I just didn't get to see too many of them because they were grabbing them and then going elsewhere to look at them. Which hopefully, being how bad the cord was on this, hopefully nobody tried plugging anything in and getting zapped. Anyways, that's the oddball thing. Now for the next things. So you guys have already seen that in other vids. This is where cool I found some, but man, it was depressing. I have a hard time finding hard rock from the 70s, let alone any 80s metal. It goes fast. There's a lot of people in my town, this city, whatever, that collect vinyl. And I'm not really outright collecting. If I find something I like and it's cheap, I'll grab it, but I'm not one that's going to be spending a lot of money on it. And I'm trying to find the stuff for cheap. And glad enough that I got at least one record player working, hence my Sony one, so I can test stuff on in case I find something rare that's worth selling. Otherwise, I'm just going to have like just a small little amount of them just to have something different. Otherwise, the gal that brings out all this stuff to restock the vinyl and the movies and video games and whatnot, she came out with a friggin' pile. I don't know how many freaking records I went through, but I was standing there for a bit, and then after everybody else is in the Sharks were going after it, I went back to see what they left. Man, it was like old school, early Judas Priest, man. Good stuff. Like Defenders of the Faith, Screaming for Vengeance, Razor's Edge, just good stuff or whatever. And then one album I grabbed, I'll show you guys now. Saxon, Denim and Leather. There's about 5 more of these. But man, they were all in bad shape, which was weird because this one is not too bad. All the others looked like they were pulled out of a dumpster. A lot of it looks like it was just yanked out of a dumpster. They were either just really dirty or looked like they'd been rained on or tore up as hell, like the person that had them was destructive. Just didn't take care of things or just outright destructive. So, anyways, it's another one I grabbed that's in pretty good shape, Rush. And neither Rush or Saxon, I never got into them back in the day, man. So a lot of this is new to me on the music. And I'm always for any kind of freaking heavy metal from the 80s, 70s, 90s, whatever. I'm always for new bands. Show you guys this one. This one was in the best shape. David Lee Roth, Eat 'em and Smile. And then I've got one here that's like a, call it like a mixtape album, whatever. A lot of different bands here. Hence, I like hearing new music. A lot of it seems to be 70s and early 80s on this. But some pretty good bands. Was this Metal Killers collection? And it has Black Sabbath, UFO, Michael, I think Shanker, Judas Priest, Motorhead, Twisted Sister, Girls' School, Uriah Heep, Hawkwind, Accept, Gary Moore, Tank, Venom, Diana, Tokyo Blade, Wrathchild, Raven, Jim Lee, Hell's Bells, Wendy O. Williams, Thor, Chrome Molly, Wasted, and Diamond Head. So, a lot of different bands, and it's 2 records in it. A lot of good picture there of the band members. Anyways, all those were like 99 cents to $2. This is where my Goodwill is idiotic on the pricing. In fact, the gal that was setting stuff out, she does some of it. She says, I know this is a thrift store. I try to keep the prices fair. And then there's somebody else there that they're looking it up on eBay. Oh, it's worth a ton of money. Let's put a crazy ass price on. Hence, I'm pretty sure it's still there unless tomorrow's half price day where it still might be there. They've got, I don't even know if it's a decent copy of Metallica Kill 'Em All, an original 80s copy, and they got $20 on it. And all around the outside of the albums and the edges, all frayed, so you know it wasn't taken too good care of. And I have no clue how the record looks, is that they never look at the records. Anyways, at least I left with a few, man, because I was going through a lot of stuff and they were just beat to hell. What really got me just, I need Xanax. Iron Maiden. It's one of my all-time favorite bands. Anyways, they had about 5 freaking Iron Maiden albums. The only one that looked decent until I got it in the light to look at the album itself instead of just the cover was Somewhere in Time. The cover was in good shape for anybody who just want to frame it or just use it for wall art. The album, it had a bad gouge in it, and they wanted $5 freaking dollars for something that won't even play right. All the other Iron Maiden either was in somebody else's hands, I don't know, or they were beat to hell and they still had at least close to $5. Just stupidly high prices for records that they didn't even look at. And then the Judas Priest ones, the covers were okay, but the records were beat to shit, just scratched up as hell. And I think they had some like Accept, Y&T, just a lot of good stuff. And then just some oddball 80s stuff like Michael Jackson, Eurythmics, stuff like that. A lot of 80s pop type music or whatever, which the Eurythmics, some of their songs I like, but not that into them. Those, same thing, man. They were just beat up. That's where I wonder if either they took them out of a dumpster or somebody inherited a collection and just trashed it. So, I always got to make a freaking rant on Goodwill. This is not too much to rant about, even that I knew it was going to have to be something that I'd fix. But man, killer find here. Speaking of service manuals, and I don't think I have the link saved on this computer. I do have a service manual that I was able to download for my Sony front loader. And same thing on this one, man. The ones for breaking down the system to show you what parts what is good, but when it comes to circuit board schematics, it shrinks it down too much. They're really big pictures that they shrink down in Adobe. So better just to have your computer on and then have it on a table next to you working on it. Otherwise, cool enough. Find a way to show this guys to you easy. Well, anyways, I'll read off the thing first. It's just friggin' heavy. I don't got a proper scale to weigh this thing, man. But it's definitely got some weight. Anyways, what I found is a Sansui computerized, fully automatic DD, whatever that means, turntable, model P/M90, auto reverse. And on the computerized thing, until I walked up and picked it up as it was on one of the bottom shelves, so I had to get down and look at it good, I thought it was some kind of an old school CD player, like the ones where you just place them on a turntable and it rotates to the next CD. That's what it looked like. And then I picked it up, I was like, holy shit, this is a fucking record player. So boom, started looking it up and just, wow, sought after. And no, I'm not going to sell it, man. Once I get this sucker going, this stays in my collection. It is just too cool. And right off the bat, what's messed up on it is the tray. Has to do with how it opens and closes. Just not very well made compared to like my Sony one there, to where it's actually got a plastic track with teeth on it to go between two cogs. This, different story. I could see why it broke so easy. And hopefully I could fix it. Or I'll just wait till I can get the part. As I can play a record on it, it's just a bit of a messing with it a bit to get the record back out. Otherwise, it's dual side. So like my big ass freaking Laserdisc players, which those, at least one of them, the thing literally rotates and flips over for the laser. This, it's got an extra long arm with a stylus on each end of it, to where one's facing up, one's facing down. Is depending on what side, it's either going to start from the front of the player or the back when it starts playing the record. And then on side A and side B, you've got number 1 through 8. So you can punch in what songs you want to hear, and this thing has some way, laser something, to where it can scan the record and know where the gaps are in between songs. And then on other, you got your eject button, just in and out. Your up-down button for the stylus to move it up off the record and then down to play it. And then back and forth if you want to manually search to move the thing. Repeat. This I didn't mess with. I don't know what it, just intro skip. I don't know what that does when you press it. And then just start, stop. And on LED stuff, you just got LED lights for side A and side B. And then this is where I got to research some more on it to see what all stuff you can get for it. It's able to be hooked up to something, system, or whatever, to where it has this compu edit, like computer edit. And then it had something on the back where I think it's for like hooking up a remote, to where if you're a DJ or just want to use it from another part of the room without having to go up and punch everything in, I guess you can do that. I don't know. That's where, like I say, I got to look that up and see what's up with it. And then just regular old push button power. Otherwise, on your switches below the tray here, you got your speed switch, normal and inverse, and then sensitivity, low, medium, and high. And now that I figured it out, right now I got the tray locked in position like it's playing a record, which there is a way to trick it. I just can't remember what I did, man. It took a lot of tinkering, but it has to do with how you're holding this thing. Is There's obviously some switches inside that the trays hit. Because it's one big tray, and then there's another kind of a half a tray that the record sets on, and they both slide separately but on one thing. So one goes back, and then I'm guessing maybe the tray that the record's on is what's on the pulleys, and then when it goes back, it just sucks in the other one. It's weird how they did it, and then this thing pops up to where this one doesn't actually play the record on a turntable like you'd be used to. It suspends it like maybe about that high off of the tray so it can play both sides. That's where, when I was at Goodwill, I found a record, rocking in the rest home, and stuck that in there, and it got stuck. So I ended up buying a 99-cent record, but I was able to get it out of here without hurting anything. Otherwise, yeah, it's crazy. And they make it kind of hard to be able to take this thing apart and show you what makes it tick. Is the main lid on top that you take off to get at the thing for changing out styluses. It's got a couple prongs on it to where once that's lifted off, the prongs come out and that shuts off the power. It's kind of just a safety precaution so you don't get electrocuted as you're working right around by the circuits and stuff to replace the stylus. So, back of it, let's see, what was this? Yeah, it's like little Walkman headphone size jacks. One says Compu Selector, the other one says Compu Edit. Now on years, 80 something. There's no date on this thing, and the manual that I downloaded for it, which is service, there's no date. I'd have to keep searching and find somebody that either has the original manual or whatever that shouts out the date. So I'm just assuming that it's probably mid to late 80s on this. Anyways, I say, man, this sucker's built like a freaking tank. So it looks like. Like I say, man, from a distance, it looked like an old school CD player, like one of the first ones, but an expensive one. As I'm thinking, this thing must have cost the freaking earth, being on what it does, man. Just the fact it can play both sides, it must have cost the damn earth. That could be some of why it's rare. Otherwise, past 30 minutes here. On getting its stuff. There's a screw here, screw there. That right there is the little thing I was talking about. It's like this plastic clamp that's attached to the lid via just a peg, which you can remove, but it's something I wouldn't recommend removing it constantly. And then that's got like two plastic fins on it that go into the electrical source for this, where when it's on, you got power. When it's off, it just chops it. It must hit a switch or something. Which, yeah, you could probably have it half-ass apart and then modify it, which that's what I did, was just take this off and then stick it in there so I could see the function of it to get the record out. Otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't do too much. It's one of those things like it's like those things you get for hanging pictures where you have to drill a hole in the wall for like drywall, and then you stick that in and it's plastic. And when you put the screw in it, it expands. Same thing on this, but it's got little fins on it that can break off. So kind of fragile. So anyways, once you take out those screws, this piece just lifts off, and then that's a separate piece there where there's a couple screws to the top of it. And then you can get at the stylus once you've used the motor in it and moved it to the back. For the front, a little bit trickier. Same thing, you take the top piece off. This whole thing slides forward just enough to lift it off somewhat is there are 2 ribbon cables connected to the panel here, but you can lift it up just enough to get at that stylus. And on stylus, on getting a stylus or both of them or whatever, they made more than just this model, so it shouldn't be too hard to find one on price-wise ranges. I don't know. Is it played a record? Good enough. That's all I care about, as long as I can play something. And I was going through some shit speakers. What I did on my Sony one is hook it up to that boombox, so once I get this working a little bit better, that's what I'll use to test it on. Which that's my old 70s Lloyd's boombox. And they always expect you to have a high-powered freaking system for these, as in an old-school stereo where it pounds. I gotta crank that thing up all the way just to make it sound good. Otherwise, pretty low on the volume, but that one sounds good. This one sounded alright. It's just I was using PC speakers, so not much bass. Otherwise, let's see, what did I pay for this? My brain is not working now. What the hell did I pay for this? It's really freaking cheap. It's the thing, I didn't get it recently. I got it last week. So I've been tinkering on it before I wanted to do a video. I think it was like $15 at most because it wasn't working. At least this, they priced it low because it wasn't working. If they would have looked this up on eBay, it would have had a crazy ass price on it, and they would have found room in the counter up front. Is on eBay, if they're still there, and this is on the sold listings. There's one that went for about $130 something and probably about $20 to ship. And that one not working. Possibly the same problem as this, as the belt broke. Or string, hence that's what's in it, is a string type thing that the tray attaches to and makes it go back and forth. And then for the one that I saw that was working, it was like mint condition, like somebody found one where they just took it out of the box or just kept it in the box for whoever owned it and took really good care of it. But they replaced all the belts for any motors or whatever and the whole string systems and just totally refurnished it. That went for over $300 and about $20 to ship. And then the one that I saw that I might still be on eBay, that's just in the buy whatever. I don't know if it was buy now or current bid or what. It was like 170 something, I think, for one that's broken. Now, other ones like this, there's one, let's see. God, I'd have to find the video again. Very similar to this, but instead of having everything to this side on the panel, I think it goes clear across. There's the other side here. Oh, man, god damn this lighting. This is the area where you can look in and see the stylus arm. It's just like my Sony one. It's got a little light on it. Just a red light so you can see what position it's in. And then it's got like a ruler here to tell you what part of the record it's on and what size the record is. I think the other one I saw, it just stretches across more on the numbers. It either does more or does less. I don't remember. And then they made some similar to this, to where instead of front loading, it's top loading like a regular record player, but still programmable. But man, too friggin' cool. It's so seldom my Goodwill gets stuff like this that doesn't get snatched up right quick. And I'm thinking that's what it is. People either thought it was just a old school CD player that was probably broken and not worth anything, or just didn't know what it was because it's so freaking odd looking. That's what's cool about some of this stuff that's valuable, man. It's because nobody knows what the fuck it is. So, if I get it up and running and stuff, I will definitely show you guys a video, at least of the thing in action. Is my Sony one, all it took was a rubber band to swap with one of the belts, which is just a little belt to make the arm go back and forth for the motor, which I'm going to try and find a belt, but rubber band fit, makes it work. I can play records on it, so I'll just keep that on until it snaps. And easy enough to replace it is I just took off the bottom panel on that one, and it's right there where you can get at it. It's just, man, the belt on it really thin. This, for this tray thing, it's this string assembly that goes all over the place. And the way they did the tray, it looks like there's like a post or whatever on each side, either on the top piece or the bottom piece, depending on what works what, to where each one has a little L clamp screwed onto it where you can tighten it, and that, I guess, held on to the string. Anyways, it was not connected on that, and it looked like what happened is the string got a snag in it, and it just pushed it down and frayed the hell out of it as it's wound string, and it's down to just a kitten's butt hair thickness, and I don't want it to snap, hence why I didn't want to plug it in and turn it on, man. I got to take it apart and see what I could do on it before I mess with it much, because I need to know the length. And it frayed back about that far, so that tells me that's maybe why you don't see too many of these. A lot of people could have just trashed it. You know how people do, man. If something breaks, I ain't gonna fix it and just trash it. So, Jesus Christ, man, Superstar, damn, or Judas Priest, or Jobu, or Jahudi, or whoever you pray to, whatever. I don't pray to any of them. I pray to my cat, because according to my cat, I'm servant. Don't we all serve gods? So I pray to the cat gods. Anyways, off of the craziness. Now I push button and make y'all go away. So I'm up to 42 minutes creeping here. Later, everybody. Happy hunting.